smaller than all the seeds in the ground. And when sown, it comes up the ground, taller than the vegetables, and produces large branches so the birds in the sky can nest in its shade. He would speak to the word to these different disciples in many parables like these, and they were easy for them to understand. He did not speak to them without a parable. Privately, however, he would explain everything to his disciples. He said earlier the reason why he told all the people different parables, because the people that are listening to it, the ones who have an ear to hear, will look for the deeper understanding and meaning of it. People who don't want to listen, they'll just hear it's nothing more than a story, which is what you have with people in the world. They'll listen to all these different parables, and they'll look at them, they're like, man, they were just stories. That's all they were. He's like, you know what, I'm glad I entertained you. He said, but everyone who actually came there for the fruit, this is what the parable meant. And he told his disciples, because he knew one day he wouldn't be there. So that's why he gave them the answers privately. So whenever they went out into the land, all the words he put in as a seed, like he just told them, which I don't think they quite realized that. He was sowing seed into every one of them every time he told them the different explanations. So it would grow in them. They got a little bit more confidence. They see something else happen. Then he give them, there would be a miracle. Then they always tell them the truth. So it happened every single day for the 3 years he was on the planet talking to his different disciples. It was a seed that just grew and it just grew into fruition. Then they saw all the works and all the things that happened. By the time he died, they became the actual apostles.
Amen.
It grew to a mustard seed.
Right.
They were big enough now, bigger than the vegetables, bigger than all the branches around them. They said where basically birds come from the sky came to nest in the shade. Basically, he's saying that you'll become a fruit and grow into a mustard seed to a big plant, that you'll be so great, people will actually come under you to be the shade from all the different wiles and tribulations that go on around them. That's what the different preachers and what the different priests in the church are supposed to be. You're supposed to be that small seed that you learn under somebody else. Supposed to get everything they're getting, get fed, keep growing, let it germinate. Then when you finally get big enough, people will come to you and be under your branch. It's up to you to find what happens. That's what he's doing in the parable there. So we'll jump on over now to the story of Legion. Now, like I said, it starts in the chapter before. I had to give a nice little context of what was going on because he's busy teaching them. Let you know I'm going about my business. Let you know that he is the Son of God, but he can do anything he wants to. While he's sitting there thinking about this, he's basically teaching all these different people. Everything comes in time and the season, as Solomon said back in, which one is that? Ecclesiastes? Over there where he's saying that to everything, turn, remember when I was a little kid, someone told me that the Beatles, they wrote that. And I was like, really, they wrote that? I think I found that in the Bible somewhere. I don't know. But anyways, though, for everything, there's always a time and a season. He knew about the guy over in a different little spot. I can never pronounce the place's name because I see it's like Gerardines or something like that. The Gerardines, we'll say Gerardines, wherever it is. Anyway, so he's why he's telling all these people, he knows about that guy with the Legion sitting on that island on the other side of the lake. He knows exactly that person's not ready yet. He's already heard about the different works of a man called Jesus. And he's like looking, searching, just waiting. The anticipation's building for him. He's like, if he would just come. He's over there breaking through his chains and everything else. He'll just come. And he's not ready yet. He's like, I'm teaching the disciples now. Because everything to time and place and season. So right now he's teaching his people. So we'll go over into where it titles in my Bible, Wind and Wave Obey the Master. I think that's pretty apropos for this little excerpt. So on that day when the evening had come, in Mark chapter 4, verse 35, he told them, let's cross over to the other side of the sea. So they left the crowd and took him along since he was already ready in the boat. And others before him were brought before him, and a fierce windstorm arose, and the waves were breaking over the boat, so the boat was already being swamped. But he was in the stern sleeping on the cushion. So they woke him and said to him, Teacher, don't you care we're going to die? Stick a little pin in that for a second. We have storms all the way around. Remember, everything time of the season. He knew what was coming up. He knew a storm was coming. He knew where he needed to be. He could have waited like a day or so. And he said, no, I'm going to use this as a teaching tool. He just got to tell you about the story of the mustard seed, planting seeds on it. Remember, I told you the part where you have to feed it so it can grow? This is part of that little feeding session. He wanted to see if they're ready yet. Did they have the faith necessary to get through there without having to wake them? They weren't there yet. So then they wake him up. And when they wake up, they said, they're telling you, Teacher, don't you care that we're going to die? He got up and rebuked the wind and said to the sea, Silence, be still. The wind ceased. There was a great calm. Then he said to them, Why are you fearful? Do you still have no faith? He's like, I just gave you a parable about the mustard seed. Y'all received it. Y'all thought it was wonderful. Thought it was beautiful. Talk about how the seed falls in the ground with the thorns, the fertile fruit and everything else where it doesn't grow. He's like, I just taught y'all this. This was just a chapter ago. We don't know how much time passed, but this was just a chapter ago. He just told them this. And when the first time the storm hits, like most Christians, first time anything hits, what happens? You get all scared and fearful and like, man, Master, where? He's like, you haven't learned yet? He's like, all right, you ain't ready yet. So basically, he sits there, breaks the wind like he's supposed to. And then they were terrified and asked one another, "Who is this? Even the wind and the sea obey him." Like, hold up, you've been around a person that's been doing all these miracles, done all these things for you, seen people walk up healed of leprosy, and you're still amazed by what he's doing? I guess they still need to be taught. So they finally get across the little lake, and it goes down to chapter 5. Then they came to the other side of the sea, to the region of Gerasenes. The name down, I'm not quite sure that's what it's supposed to be said, but we'll go Gerasenes. As soon as he got out of the boat, and the man with an unclean spirit came out of the tombs and met him. He lived in the tombs. No one was able to restrain him, anyone, even with chains, because he often had been bound with shackles and chains. But had snapped off the chains and smashed the shackles. No one was strong enough to even subdue him. He always, night and day, was crying out among the tombs and the mountains and cutting himself with stones. When he saw Jesus from a distance, he ran and knelt down before him. He cried out with a loud voice, "What do you have to do with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I beg you, before God, that don't torment me." For when he had told him, "Come out of the man, you unclean spirit." "What is your name?" he asked. "My name is Legion." Because, when we talk about, we always got to switch our voice. "My name is Legion." Because it's more intimidating that way. And he answered them, "Because we are many." And he kept begging them not to send him out of the region. Now large herds of the pigs were feeding on the hillside, and demons begged him and said, "Send us to the pigs so we may enter them." And he gave them permission. Then the unclean spirits came out and entered the pigs. And a herd above with 2,000 rushed down from the steep part of the sea and drowned there. People always seem to just grasp on that part right there. That all that legion left that man and went inside the pigs. And the thing they always teach everybody, those pigs are smart enough to kill themselves. But people don't look at the actual story within the story. Think about this. You had one man. Because remember, everybody wants so bad nowadays to believe you're nothing more than an animal. You're nothing more than a beast. When they jumped into those beasts, that were supposedly just animals, they immediately killed themselves. They didn't even try to fight. That's what separates you from them as a human being over the animals. That dude sat there with 2,000 demons at the very least, night and day, breaking the chains, because what was he doing? He was trying to fight out. He was looking for something, searching for something. He's like, if I could just hold out a little bit longer. He said, these people in the town, they may persecute me, they may come after me, they may do everything. All these demons keep talking to him. He's like, what do I do? He's like, I've got to just somehow hold out. And he probably got someone in the town's probably making fun of him. There's some man called Jesus going around casting out demons and stuff. He probably was thinking to himself, I could just make it a little bit longer. How do you know that? As soon as he sees them, from a distance, he runs and falls down on his knees, knowing all those demons are fighting him, and falls down to his knees. Can you say that today, that with all the situations that are hitting you, that you can hold on to that little hope, that little sliver of truth, to know that he's going to save you? And when he did it, what happened? He jumped into those animals, and they immediately killed themselves. God only knows how long these demons were there. You're not an animal. You're a human being. You're made in God's image, and you're made to fight. And people sit there and they look at this story, and they're like, it can't be true. Demons don't exist. And I was looking around the internet and looked at Hope's little favorite author. What's he? Does it? The Narnia? Is that what it is? Chronicles of Narnia? Is that what it is? Some dude by the name of C.S. Lewis. Let me read a little excerpt he said about this. Remember, he was written back in the 20s or 30s because he was famous. Famously, he was a Christian, not in the Catholic faith, but in the Anglo-Saxon church. And he started out as a Christian. He said he got annoyed with the boring sermons, and he became an atheist. And then he started talking about this and talking about that. And some guy by the name of J.R. Tolkien, is that his name? I'm trying to get these names right. Guy who did Lord of the Rings, because we can't tell people about this. Christians wrote those stories. We'll leave that alone though. And he finally converted them back to the faith. And when he came back, he became a very prolific and well-known Christian that went on using his poetic ways of writing to write down different excerpts. And here's what he said. Remember, this is written back in the 20s, 30s, or 40s, whenever he made this quote. And he said on the thing right here, C.S. Lewis, there are two equal and opposite errors into which our race can fall upon devils. One is to disbelieve in their existence, the other is to believe and to feel an excessive and unhealthy interest in them. They themselves are equally pleased by both errors, and hell and materialists are magician with the same delight. What he told you right there is, what's the one word, or the one little excerpt we always like to use? So my people always are destroyed for lack of knowledge. People need to realize one thing. The Bible tells you about demons for a reason. They want you to know they exist. When you have an unhealthy interest in them, or you sit there and you start believing, they don't exist, guess what happens now? They can come out and feed on what you don't know. Because that person who had the legion, he probably thought the same way you thought, because people back then are no different than us now. So they don't exist. They're fairy tales. He had 2,000 demons in him. Don't get to that situation where you don't believe these people, or let's say you do like the Ouija boards and everything else. You think it's fun, keep inviting them in until you get to that point where you have this legion. And you need some Christian that believes so completely in Jesus Christ that he or she has to come and cast all these demons out, and you have to sit there and break all these chains and everything else. Don't let it come to that.
Amen.
Believe in your son Jesus Christ, that he actually died for you so you can actually talk to God.
Amen.
And don't end up like this man that was in legion. Because it goes on further to say, when he cast all of them out, they said the person was fully clothed. And the people who lost the pigs went back to town because, they didn't want to get in trouble. They told him what Jesus did, and they knew something was up because the guy who was screaming, tearing everything up, was fully clothed and in his right mind. And what did he do? He went down to the ground and said one thing. He's like, I want to come with you. But you know what God Jesus told him? He's like, no, I want you to stay here, and I want you to spread the word. You know why he did that? Just like he said earlier in chapter 4. A small seed, a mustard seed. By letting that one person go and tell everybody,
That's right.
will grow the faith.
Amen.
And with that, I'll close. Hope something I said helps somebody out today.
Praise the
And
Lord.
it's all good.